if you are an optimist, you'd say, well, it was only 20-10 at the start of the third quarter.
Hold on, wait a second. Who is an optimist that's still a Commanders fan? There's not one Commanders fan out there that's optimistic about the way the rest of the season is going to unfold.
Well, I'm just saying it was closer than
No,
it was
but if you're
closer than
someone
the
that
score.
tries to find bright spots amidst all the hell.
I would say, yeah.
It just got out of hand in the end.
Bulletin.
It got out of hand in the end, and the fall guy is Jack Del Rio. Now, deservingly so. The defense dead last in points per game at 29.2 points per game and 29th in yards per game, allowing 377.7 yards per game.
Mm-hmm.
The baffling thing is, and I saw Chris Russell point this out. Chris Russell said, do you think Jack Del Rio forgot how to coach? Just a year ago, they were third in yardage. They gave up 73 yards less per game, and they were seventh in points. They gave up 9 points per game less than a year ago.
Jason brought that up. That they had two years where they had top 5 defenses. You know?
Every year's different.
I tweeted this, and people got upset about it.
Every year's different. I mean,
I wasn't
matchups.
I wasn't defending Jack Del Rio. I mean, you fire everybody. I don't care.
And they will.
But you know that Jack is having beers with people over in Ashburn, and he's saying, they traded my top 2 pass rushers. What do you think was going to happen?
But they were already ranked.
They weren't good with them either.
No doubt. But you didn't expect, there was the addition by subtraction theory, and they did have 9 sacks against the Giants.
That's Tommy DeVito. I watched him yesterday. He runs into sacks.
I agree. But overall, I guarantee you, Jack and his old football buddies are having that conversation over beers over Thanksgiving.
Probably right.
I guarantee you.
Look, I mean, anytime you trade 2 starters, then you have to put backups in. And one of them got hurt.
But there was that conversation. There were the rumblings, especially about Chase Young being traded. They would be better off without him.
Right.
They're not.
They're not.
No, they're not.
I mean, they wouldn't have beat them with them.
They were not as bad a year ago when those guys were gone, and so that's why they based that thought.
But anytime you pour that amount of draft picks and capital and re-signing Allen and Payne to big monster deals, and you're last in the league in defense, there's got to be a scapegoat. There has to be a fall guy. You just can't allow it to continue.
It's just a bad football team. They've got some good players, individual players. It's a bad team, not well coached, and over 5 months, it's going to be exposed.
They are along the D line. Like right now, we're going to have John on later today. It's not a start with John, but I can't remember. One of those stats has like win rate, and John last year was winning like 13% of the time or something. This year it's down to 10.
Yeah, his PFF grade is way down.
But let me finish. But Payne is like cut in half. So Payne's win rate last year was maybe, let's say, 15%, and now it's down to like 7.5, whatever it is. So both guys are having down years. Payne seems to be significantly more down. And then you move on from Chase and Montez. It's just
but the secondary is a mess.
It's just a full-blown embarrassment all the way around. Like, they're so bad that the Cowboys stuffed turkey legs into the Salvation Army kettles all over the field, knowing that the bloodbath was happening.
That was embarrassing.
They knew that was coming.
No, when they were eating during the game.
During the game.
That was humiliating.
It's a national humiliation.
No, that was
for the
humiliating.
Commanders.
And I think Doc tweeted it at the time, rock bottom. That's rock bottom.
That's pretty much
when
rock
the Cowboys
bottom.
are eating turkey legs in
the
fourth quarter.
They're basically laughing in your face.
That's
rock.
Point. That's rock.
Pre-planning the blowout.
Pre-planned celebrations
that's
on
rock
Thanksgiving.
Bottom. They're eating turkey with 6 or 7 minutes left in the game.
Turkey.
The guys were wide open, and if they weren't wide open, they weren't getting tackled. Right. I mean, there were Commanders didn't tackle anybody.
That said, the Cowboys have an explosive offense. But this has persisted all season long, especially in the secondary. So that's why the defensive backs coach gets fired, as well as Jack Del Rio. I put it out on our social media. Will it actually make a difference? So Ron Rivera is going to be calling
with
the
plays. Coming
plays.
down, I wouldn't think.
That's our poll of the day, brought to you by Van Meter Homes. And 82% say no. I was surprised it was that low. I thought it would be 100% would say no. It'll make no difference.
I mean, it might make a little difference because he said he's gonna pare things down, and he said he is gonna do a few things differently. I wonder what that is. I'm curious to see. But anytime you get fresh, different set of eyeballs, completely in charge, you might see a little difference. I don't think it'd be marked.
I don't think
they're not
see
going to all of a sudden hold the Dolphins to 13 points.
I think you're going to see the Dolphins score, 31 points?
At least
35 points?
Well, here, excuse me. Here's the other thing. Offensively, I would say that they are better. I mean, their quarterback situation is better. I mean, I don't want to kill Hal the whole time. I mean, he's basically a rookie making rookie mistakes. But the offense in general isn't that much better in terms of the points per game from last year.
It isn't. Well, it's like 2 or 3 points better.
If that. So if we expected them to be in that 23 to 24 range, because that's what we targeted. We said, this team's got to be in that 20.
When you were gone, they were. Now, maybe it's gone down because they only scored 10 or whatever they scored.
Yeah, they scored.
But going into that game, I think they were 22nd in scoring. But no one thought that they'd be 32nd in defense.
True.
That's this.
But my point about the offense is you have to factor in every game.
Yeah.
And right now they're averaging
20.5 points per game.
Right. Last year they were at 19.
20.5.
Right.
Last year they were at 19.
I always say everyone that just thinks that the enemy is just the answer.
They need
It's
to be
almost
at 25.
laughable. It's
25
almost
would
laughable.
work.
They're not good enough to be at 25.
I'm well aware.
They're not good enough to be at 21 right now.
Well aware of that, too.
But
the Dolphins,
so the
by
defense
way,
has been atrocious,
the
no
Dolphins
doubt.
are 30.8. Just to let everybody know what's coming this weekend.
If CD was wide open all day, wait till Tyreek gets on that field.
Did Jack get fired by Ron or by Josh Harris?
Well, Ron tried to say it was him.
Josh probably said, you got to make a move.
Right.
I'm
And
guessing.
then Josh Harris put out a statement afterwards.
The way Ron described it is he called Josh with his plan, and Josh approved
Right,
it.
I'm sure.
That's the way he described
You want to hear Ron kind
Sure.
of talk
Yeah.
about it? Also, I don't know what's going on with the Commanders. They have audio issues every single presser. Josh, you got to get this fixed.
Hey, Ryan, can you kind of share what the conversation was a little bit like with team owner Josh Harris when coming to this decision?
Well, for the most part, after going through, yesterday and a very long evening and then morning, I reached out to Mr. Harris and I informed him of what I was deciding and what I was going to do and wanted to make sure he was aligned with me and he agreed and okayed my decision and I went forward and but I called him early and just told him just kind of looking at the situation, circumstances, and just kind of use the snowball analogy. It was one of those things that just kind of started again. It's hard to get out of it, and this is probably the thing that I felt was necessary to do to hopefully get out of this rut and get to a point where we we can play to our abilities. It was hard because we got some good guys and we did some good things, but unfortunately something bad would happen and it just kind of escalated.
The alternate version is Harris calls Ron Rivera and says, "You either fire Jack Del Rio or I'm firing you."
I don't know.
Well, you
if
can
that
pick.
happened.
You can pick
I
and
don't know if
choose.
that happened, Cakes. I mean,
I think Ron just realized.
That's my alternate scenario.
why couldn't it be Ron just trying to stay ahead of it?
I know, exactly.
It could be.
I mean, it could
That's
be.
probably no.
I know.
I think Josh is just going to let Ron play it out. Ron knows he's gone.
Yeah. He knows
Everyone knows Ron's gone.
He knows
Everyone.
Ron's a loser.
Is
and he's
Bieniemy going to be the
lose
guy?
out.
I don't think so, but who knows? But Ron knew a move had to be made.
It's Ron's Hail Mary.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to stay ahead of it.
He just
saying,
knew
hey,
he knew a move had to be made.
yeah.
Right. You can't suffer an embarrassment like that in front of 40+ million people and somebody not lose their job in a season that has gone completely sideways.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Where you're gonna post another losing
But
season.
I don't think it was Josh saying you better fire somebody. I don't believe that.
I believe it could have happened.
Hey,
We don't know.
maybe.
one funny side note from the presser. So this was like a Zoom presser after the announcement had happened.
Mm-hmm.
So Ron, I think, he left his camera on at the end.
Oh, no.
So I thought this was kind of a funny moment as everything was wrapping up.
Fortunately, we just didn't get it done, and like I said, the blame is we're all culpable. Players and coaches. We have to be better.
Thank you, Coach.
Alrighty, thank you all.
All right, so now he's trying to figure out how to turn off his camera, and then you just hear his exacerbation.
He's exasperated.
Well, I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, Ron, you can just close your computer if you're that flummoxed by turning off the You just flap your laptop down.
Hey, I bet he was butt sized to see Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
That was.
Hey, you know what?
That was
That was the
atrocious.
strangest thing
It
I've
was
ever
weird
seen.
when seeing her in the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader outfit. But I mean, she's like in her late
Listen,
70s.
God bless her for being so healthy and putting out new records and everything. But I didn't need to see those
I
big
didn't need
old
to see
fake
that.
boobs on an 80-year-old
The whole
lady.
family was
And then
fake.
she could barely stand up.
Yeah,
She looked like my grandma.
She
holding
looked like
on.
she was holding on for dear
Well,
life.
she had to.
I mean, that was the
mean,
most
my whole-
bizarre.
Judges are gonna make her
I just
topple
thought,
over.
you know what? It's the world's over.
My whole
Like, you can't
family
do anything
was.
hot anymore. Can't put Britney Spears out.
My
You're
whole
like,
family was sitting there eating dinner and watching them going, "What is this?"
What is going on?
I
Who
loved
is
it.
Dolly Parton?
I don't know how you loved it.
Because it was something different. We get the hot, but we get Rihanna every Super Bowl.
No,
we
give me
You got
something
Jake.
hot.
You got Jack Harlow in an igloo.
Well, people were roasting
Something
that.
for-
little
I
There
woman.
was
actually thought
something for
Jack Harlow
everybody.
was decent.
no, he was mocked.
I know everyone mocks him. Who cares?
Everyone killed him, yeah.
I actually thought he was decent. Me
He
personally.
looked like your portable sauna he was performing on.
Where'd the guy in the blue hat go, by the way? He was there for the first like 40 seconds of the performance, then he just dipped. What was he doing?
I don't know.
World's worst hype man.
All right, let's open up the phone lines. You can call us on the MGM National Harbor listener lines. Do you think the firing of Jack Del Rio is going to make a difference for this team, which is now 4-8? 4-8. A lot of people had the Commanders in the playoffs. The season has unraveled, and it will continue to unravel. They may not get another win. You can chime in on the MGM National Harbor listener lines at 800-636-1067. You can also text us on the Thompson Creek Windows text machine. Standard message and data charges may apply. It's the same number. Or tweet us at Junks Radio. What do you make of the Jack Del Rio firing, and what does this mean moving forward? 800-636-1067. Let's go to the phones. What do you make of the Jack Del Rio firing, and do you think it makes a difference? I personally don't think it's going to make a difference.
No, I don't.
no.
I don't think it'd make anything
I don't think you're
marked.
going to see a lockdown unit that's going to hold the Dolphins to like 14 to 20 points this upcoming weekend.
Right.
Like if that happens, I'll be the most surprised guy on planet Earth.
Here's
The only
what
way
I-
that would happen is if the weather impacted the game.
Here's what I
Ooh,
fear,
now I need
though,
to look at the weather.
is because the defense has been so catastrophically bad, and because they traded Chase and Montez for picks, that now people go, oh, we got to get pass rushers. And we got to start, in the first round of the draft. I don't want to do that at all. If you're not going to get, if you want to go after Caleb or Drake May or whoever you think is going to be the next great thing, fine. Roll the dice. We'll go for it. I'm fine with
And
it.
that's what you do. You roll the
That's
dice.
fine. You're rolling the dice. But I want to draft offensive linemen. I don't want to do the exact same mistake we just made, which was a bunch of first-round picks on the D-line,
Mhm.
and then we're right back in the same spot.
Yeah.
And I know that we have a 32nd ranked defense. Sorry. I want to bolster my offensive line. I want to score more
You
points.
can do that in the draft, but you can do that in free agency. Now they tried to do that and they botched it.
Right. They brought
So
in
you just
Andrew
have
Wiley,
you got to
who's been
bring
a
in smarter
turnstile.
people, better people at that job, and go out and get legitimate offensive linemen, whether it's free agents or the draft.
I mean,
I
that
think
would
the
look
line's been better of late. If you looked at the
better.
last
It's been
month,
better.
part of it has been the game plan. They're getting rid
But
of the
why
ball
not-
so quick.
But why accept just better and mediocre? Let's go for elite.
I understand that, but they're going to have to draft some pass rushers.
Don't do it first. Don't do it first or second.
No,
I'm
no.
sorry.
The big difference is they're not going to be paid $20 million plus a year because they're going to be draft choices. Where had they decided to retain
but
Montez Sweat and Chase Young, they would have to given huge contracts out.
Right, 'cause
Montez signed a $100 million
The new
deal.
GM's going to walk in and say, your top pass rushers are Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams and Efe Obada, who just snapped his leg. We need some pass rushers, my friends. That might not be the first pick, but
We'll
you
go.
have to bolster that spot at some
sure.
point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to do it in the draft. I want to draft stud tackles, stud guards, stud centers, all of that.
You've come around. A couple seasons ago, you poo-pooed when I
Correct.
said the team wasn't going to be as good because they were losing Brandon Sheriff.
Correct. Well, we got away with it for a few years. We brought in Donald Penn. He was fine. We brought in the guy from Miami that failed in New York. He was fine for a couple years.
Eric Flowers.
Yeah. But that
That
luck
guy must
ran
be
out.
400 pounds right now because he just can't get a call from anybody.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the phones. 800-636-1067. Your reaction to the mess on Thanksgiving. It's just become an awful, dreadful season. And they started out 2-0. They've lost 8 out of 10. They've lost 8 out of their last 10 games.
Devin, what's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
Hey, Devin.
I'm totally in alliance with you guys. Nothing is going to change. It's loser mindset with the players. When I was watching that game on Thanksgiving, I actually had to look back and say, yes, it's the coaching because of 4 years up and down roller coaster with the defense. But I had to come to realization that it was times that we was in position to make plays. We just don't make plays. Like, our players is not good enough either. So it's not 100% on the coaches, but I just think that it's just an overall loser mindset when you got Ron at the helm. And that's the reason why I was talking to Brian Mitchell and JT last week. It's like, Josh Harris, I get it, but he's the new owner, so we're going to have to live with whatever decision that he makes. But who to say that he's going to make the right decision to get the right people by the way that he's just coming in and just being like, okay.
You don't know. There's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing. If you look at his...
Everybody put their eggs in this basket of like, as soon as we get rid of Ron and everything, and that's what I had to remind the fans and everything. Like, who to say he's going to make the right decision? Because I just don't like his. I can't say I don't like his approach because it is year one and he got dealt this hand. But it's pretty clear, like, you know what you're doing when you're buying a team. Like, he should have made the move just to show the fan base and show the players. Like, you don't. They say this about the players. You get paid if you produce. Well, the coaches, if you're not producing after these years, you should have been snapped. You know what I'm saying? Unless somebody else. And before I get off the air, I didn't know until you guys just said it. I guess I've been under a rock. We had a D-back coach that his highest coaching was thought that our D-backs, they know more than the coach. So it's like, oh, man, like, and that's why Ron should be good. Why would he, like, who would approve?
I don't know. I mean, listen, that was a narrative. Listen, thank you. Thank you for your call, Devin. I know that was a narrative over the weekend that this DB's coach is like the most unqualified guy in history. I'm not buying it. I mean, I'm sure he wasn't great, but he did coach before with the Raiders, right? I think when Jack was there. So he has NFL experience.
Got to work your way up.
Yeah, I mean,
there are a lot of guys who worked
in high
their
schools.
McDaniel, who's the head coach of the Dolphins, you're going to face next, started as like a video coordinator.
Yeah.
Bottom line, but they're not good enough. You could have all the qualifications. They're not good enough.
You mean the players?
No, the coaches.
I'd never heard
the
of
coaching staff.
Dieselmeyer before he
and the
got
players
fired.
too.
I know,
I
but
didn't know he was on the staff.
I know, but I'm not just going to say, oh, the reason why they sucked is because the guy coached in high school. I mean,
Drab's a genius. I think he pointed it out like 2 weeks ago that the coach basically was doing Pop Warner.
Yeah, remember
like
my rant? I went through the coaching
was
staff,
just
the bio,
flawed.
they were a bunch of jokesters. It was Ron's kids and Jack's kids and a bunch of high school coaches.
Right, it's called who you
No
know,
development.
nepotism. You hire your friends.
Yeah, they're not good enough.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean,
And that's fine.
and you're going to have 20 different coaches
and
next
Josh
year.
Harris, like when he took over the team, what did he have, a month before training camp, maybe less? Like he was he was between a rock and a hard place. Like I know he wanted to fire Ron, but the season's about to start. Like he couldn't do it when I'm sure he wanted to do it.
The curious thing to
letting
me,
it play out, and he's gonna fire Ron as soon as the season is over.
right? The curious thing to me is, and I know you can make the argument they haven't had Chase Young and Montez Sweat here the last month, is again the defense was ranked third in the entire NFL a year ago, allowing just 305 yards
with
a game.
largely the same personnel.
Yes.
And
And
the
some would
same
argue
staff.
that they should have been stronger. We all thought they should have been stronger because Chase Young healthier, drafted Emmanuel Forbes.
I need to go back and look at some of their opponents last year. Maybe they faced a bunch of number quarterbacks. I can't remember off the top of my head.
They're giving up 9 points per game
Right.
more.
Well, remember they had
Now,
complete.
they do have 3 pick sixes this year, and I understand it wasn't all 45 points of offense against the Commanders' defense, but guess what? Most of it was against
What was the category that they did a complete 180 in
third
last year?
downs.
And then we said that's
The
going to come
third
back
down
to earth.
percentage.
And if you watch them now on third downs, we give up third and longs and explosive plays all the time. It is so frustrating. But, it's the same personnel.
Yeah, they've had a weakness at linebacker, especially in coverage, for seems like 3 or 4 straight seasons.
Yeah, and they've de-emphasized linebacker. They hardly have any linebackers on
And
the
I can't
roster.
even accuse Jack of just sitting back because they were blitzing more and more. You guys just weren't getting home.
Yeah, they had 3 guys in Prescott's face on the touchdown to Cooks.
Yeah,
they were just late. They're a half second late, so he could throw it to the wide open space, and Brandon Cooks is fast.
All right, let's hit Let's hit Paul in DC.
What's up, Paul?
All
Paul,
right,
what's
real
up?
quick.
Fellas,
Then we got to go to break.
fellas, it's always good to talk to you, man.
What's
Hey,
up?
welcome back too, brother.
Hey.
But y'all asked a question, brothers, but then y'all keep talking,
I
man.
know,
and
sorry.
Make my mind,
It's kind of
my
our
mind,
specialty.
No. That's a good thing because my mind started thinking about other things. I want to jump on now about the coaches not being good enough because once we get good coaches, then you're going to demand a different type of a player. Right now, we're getting the same old thing because we got the same old coaches in there. So I think this coaching change is probably going to help Ron more than anything. It'll help up his resume a little bit and see if he can get a D coordinator job from somewhere. But, fellas, I just think, man, right now, man, like I was saying earlier, man, we got to ride the waves, man, and let's see what we're going to do because ain't no changes going to happen with Ron, man, until the beginning of next year, man.
That is
Thank
true.
you, buddy. Thank you.
That is true.
Thank you.
Just be open to that. It's going to happen, and you're going to have a whole new staff
I don't
in here.
think
and I don't know
Ron will ever coach again. I think this is it.
Maybe
I think
not.
he's done.
who's going to make the calls personnel-wise. There'll be new people doing that. So
You know how you see a fighter and you go, that's a shot fighter?
Yeah.
He's a shot.
You had the one rebuild with the ownership change. All right, that was the big one. Now you're going to have number two.
Now let's see how good the ownership actually is. Let's see what kind of staff they put together.
Yeah, I mean, not expecting massive, success here
I mean,
in the
who
next
knows?
couple of years.
Who knows?
Let's see what happens with Hal. If Hal's the guy, you got to get better players around him.
Well,
I
they're
get
going to
it.
be high enough that maybe they will be able to stumble into a quarterback pick. We'll see.
We'll see. If they go 5-12, where are they picking?
Probably top 4 or 5. You have to be.
They
mean,
keep
Maybe
moving
top
up in the
3.
draft board.
There's
We're
a-
up
Are
to
they
number
5
5
right
right
now?
now.
It's
The
a
problem
big-
is Carolina, and that's Chicago's pick. They only have one win on the year, and they'd be lucky to win
You're
one
rooting
more.
for the Bears to win tonight, but they're probably going to lose to the Vikings.
Yeah.
So you're rooting for you're a big Bears fan.
Yeah, because
tonight,
the
EB.
Bears, I would assume they're going to go after a quarterback, but who knows? Carolina, they're not going to give up on Bryce Young, so they're not going to take one.
But if you're-
Arizona, who knows? Are they going to keep Kyler? Are they going to trade him? They can draft
Who
one?
knows?
But you got extra picks. You can always move up in the draft. You can always move up. It's going to be up to the next GM.